Welcome back, everyone. Glad you could join us. So we're going to spend some time outside today testing out a new machine that we bought. So a while back we purchased a new wood chipper, and we had a smaller one, a Bearcat. Nothing against Bearcat, but it was just way too small for what we wanted to do around here. And so we purchased the Woodland Mills WC68 wood chipper. Now I believe the WC stands for wow cool, because it is a nice machine. Actually, we've got it already assembled, and we're going to bring it out to the forest. Well, it's already out in the forest. We're going to put it through its paces with some branches that we've already cut down, and we're cleaning up the forest here because, well, for several reasons. One is we just love being outside and doing this sort of thing. Two, yeah, there's a fire smart, so that in the event we have a fire, there's not a whole lot of extra fuel on the ground. And number three, Mrs. From the Woods loves to have her bark chips for the pathways and her garden. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Like I say, it's already assembled. I'll go through some of that, but glad you could join us, and we hope that you enjoy this video. Let's get started. We thought it would be wise to buy the spare parts kit for the WC68. It'll hopefully last us for the entire life of the unit, but it comes with 4 extra blades, which are two-sided, a striker plate and all the bolts to put it on, and an extra belt for the hydraulic system. So this should last us for the life of the unit. Well, I have to say that the unit came really well wrapped, no shipping damage. All the parts seem to be there. They're still wrapped in bubble wrap, so we have to unwrap that. We'll get the instructions out of the manual tube, or operator's manual out of the tube. And Mrs. From the Woods is being really helpful. So a quick overview of all the hardware that was in the storage tube. 5 bags of hardware, nuts, bolts, washers, handles, so on and so forth. Of course, a catalog for all the other products that they carry. Good bedtime reading. The operator's manual, I'm hoping that includes the assembly instructions and a pre-startup checklist, which you have to do. And one of those things is putting hydraulic oil into it, which is not included. You have to buy that separate. But Mrs. From the Woods is making herself useful by unwrapping all the parts, and once that's done, we'll start assembling the unit. So the operator's manual is very well thought out. All pictures for every step of the assembly. All the separate bags of bolts are separated, so easy to find. I'm not going to film the whole thing, but we'll show you how it's all looking at the end. Well, we've got the shroud / chute assembled. Now I have to admit, it was a whole lot harder than it looked. This is way easier with 2 people. So if you've got an extra set of hands, I would suggest you do it with 2 people. It can be done with 1, but these pieces are slippery. They're kind of awkward, a little bit heavy, and when you're trying to hold a piece in place and trying to get a nut and a bolt together, yeah, it's a whole lot easier with 2 people. But one of the things that you have to do is, once you've got the bolts kind of finger tight, down at the bottom here where it meets the machine, that's got to be adjusted. Now it can be done, there is play with where the bolts go, but again, easier with 2 people. So now we're going to be doing the control linkage arm. Well, that's the control arm linkage. That was easy. I wish the shroud was that easy. At any rate, it is connected to the transmission, so it's in the forward position right now, and then it's got neutral and reverse. And when you want to transport, you just take the R clip out and you hook the linkage up to here, undo your clamps, and then the whole shroud flips up to the top. Now I don't foresee doing that, but in the event that I do, that's how you do it. Well, we're getting near the end here, and this is the discharge chute already assembled in the factory, and it has to go onto this location here. Now the manual says that the locking pin should be to the tractor side, so I'm assuming that's this side because that's the front of the unit. Looks pretty straightforward, 4 bolts. Well, the discharge chute is attached to the 4 bolts with the lock washers and the quick release, so you can pull that down and swivel the chute 360 degrees to wherever you want the chips to go. And then at the end of the chute there, that's where the black handle goes for directing the chips at the outfeed, so you can have it close or far depending on where you want the chips. But overall, I think we're almost there. We're on the last step, and that is checking the length of the PTO shaft. But I'm not going to do that because it's cold outside. But overall, we can do some of the startup checklist, add oil, maybe check the gap at the striker plate, that sort of thing. So one of the startup steps is to set your bed plate, which is this piece right here. It has to be parallel to your rotating knives, and they're suggesting a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch gap between the bed plate and the knives. Now there's no way, no physical way to get in there and measure it, so it's an eyeball or best guess. But so what you do is you loosen those off, and then you rotate the blade, you put a flashlight in there, and you line it up as best as possible, and then you retorque those nuts down to 40 pounds with your torque wrench. Well, assembly is complete. Filled it with hydraulic oil, checked all the nuts and bolts, make sure they were tight. Everything seems to be as it should according to the operator's manual. And once again, I think this is a very nice machine. It looks like it's going to handle what we're going to put through it. And of course, the proof is in the pudding when we get it hooked up to the tractor and bring it out to the forest. But overall, very impressed with the machine itself. Once again, I'll reiterate that it is a 2-man job to get that shroud together. You can do it by yourself, but prepare to be frustrated. And otherwise, everything else went pretty easy, setting the bed plate. And the operator's manual is fantastic. It certainly lays out exactly what you have to do, where the nuts and bolts go. Everything, like I say, looks nice and new, of course. The last time it'll look like that, I'm guessing. It's not bobcat colors, but we'll just have to live with the green. It's nice too. But anyway, happy with the machine. We're gonna hook it up to the tractor the next nice day and bring it out to the forest. Well, as it turns out, I had to trim the PTO shaft by, well, what I thought was an awful lot, but the PTO shaft is now cut by 2 15/16 on each end. And the instructions in the operator's manual are pretty clear, pretty straightforward with a hacksaw. And we're gonna head out to the forest and give this thing a try. PTO shaft installed. We've got the safety chains over the support bar. Everything's clipped in place. We're going to start up the tractor and get out to the forest. Well, this is our forest, or at least part of it. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of underbrush, so you can walk through the trees anywhere on our property. But every once in a while we get a windstorm and it knocks over the trees, and that all has to be cleaned up, all the branches. And the only option we had before the wood chipper was to put it on the burn pile. And we didn't like that because we could certainly use the bark chips, but we've been cleaning it up a little bit. We've got lots of logs from dead standing and trees that were knocked over. But we also have wood that is no good due to insect infestation, and that'll probably go on the burn pile. But they're too heavy for me, so that's why we've got the Bobcat here. And that has the homemade excavator thumb on there, works really good. But yeah, typically we try and salvage as many logs as possible. Not sure what to do with this one, these quite yet, whether turn it into firewood or see if we can get it on a sawmill somewhere. But yeah, every once in a while we get a good wicked windstorm and it knocks over the trees. But for today, with the WC68 wood chipper, we're going to try and get rid of all of these branches and put it onto the bark, put it onto the paths, and so let's show you the machine. So I have a Bobcat CT235, which is a 34 horsepower tractor with 29 horsepower at the PTO. And this is the new wood chipper, the WC68 from Woodland Mills. And we've gone through assembly, we've checked everything. We're going to run some chips through it, but we're going to start the tractor and get going. Okay, well, that's 3 piles done. That was a mix of new and old, dry and fresh, and I think we got about 1.5 to 2 yards of bark chips. But overall, the performance of the WC68 is very impressive. Now, it takes everything from little twigs. Now, you don't want to shove your hand in there too far, obviously, so there is a safety factor. But if you get caught, or if a twig or a branch catches you, you can always press the red bar and it'll throw it into neutral or reverse, which is a safety feature, which is great. But overall, the thing plowed through just about everything we wanted to put in there. Very happy with the result. All right, as Mrs. From the Woods rakes out our first pile of bark chips that we've produced with the Woodland Mills WC68 PTO driven wood chipper. Yeah, we're happy with the machine purchase. I think it'll be a useful tool around here, and we'll make good use of it over the spring and summer here. But yeah, I'm going to set up and do another couple of piles before the light fades today. Beautiful spring day here in southern Alberta. But we're glad that you could join us, and we hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, we'd love it if you would subscribe and like and share and all those good things. And we'll see you again on the next video coming soon. Thanks for watching.